Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Newcastle. My name is Iain. I'm hosting tonight a special crossover edition. I'm joined tonight by Rob from the Daily Ipswich to preview Saturday's game, a good old-fashioned 3:00 kickoff on a Saturday afternoon. I don't think we've got any more of them left this season. When Newcastle face Ipswich with a rather unlikely route to safety, if we're honest. But Newcastle obviously chasing those points, desperate for any points that they can get in their quest for a Champions League place. Rob, thank you very much for joining. How are you?
I'm doing good, mate. I'm enjoying what's left of the Premier League while I can. So, like you say, unless we do some miracle run of results to end the season, I'm just trying to take in what I can before we drop back down.
Well, yeah. I know it's not really a death in the family, is it? It's not really as important as that. But we've been relegated from the Premier League twice in my recent memory, anyway. 2009, 2016, I think, somewhere around there. It's awful. It's awful. So my commiserations on that. Do you think you're in a better position going back down to bounce straight back up? Can you not tell yet because of what changes there might be in the summer? Or is it chaos?
I think we're in a better position. I think certainly in the attacking sense, I've said this many times over the last few weeks that there's a lot of players in our squad that whether they've come up with us from last year or from League One as well on the journey, or just been signed this year, there's a lot of players in there that I think have come to regular Premier League football too early. And I think dropping down to Championship for a year, being able to hit some decent numbers, so have things their own way a little bit more than they do in the Premier League, I think that little boost of confidence will do wonders for them, and hopefully they'll sort of fly in, we'll come back up at the first attempt, and they'll all come back up with loads more confidence and also a year's worth of experience in the first time round that hopefully will stand us in better stead for a second spell. But I say it's all in theory at the moment because there's no guarantees on what our squad looks like at the end of the day at the moment, especially given the two teams that have gone up. So now Leeds and Burnley are out of the way. There's like our squad is far and away the best in the league when you compare it to what's in the Championship already, but it's what you keep hold on to. Like, I'm fairly confident not many will leave, but you never know, do you? That I can say that now, and then 6 players might leave, and that'll rip through the core of the squad. You don't know, but certainly at this stage, I'm fairly confident for next season.
Well, certainly you'll be able to watch how Burnley do because they're in exactly the same position in that they've bounced straight back up. They've hung on to most of the team, if not their manager, who somehow managed to wangle a job at Bayern Munich by getting them relegated. McKenna might be off to Barcelona, you never know, if that logic applies. What's the feeling? What do you think? Do you think he'll hold on to the rest of the players? I'm thinking in particular of Delap. Obviously, it's his second year with you?
First, he's only signed in the summer, yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
Apologies for that. I thought he was there. I thought he had. I'm getting confused with somebody else, obviously. Do you think he'd be moving on? I mean, I know there's a lot of teams after him, but he must realise he's onto a good thing at Ipswich. He's loved there. He could get some great numbers, as you say, next year, enhance his reputation. And he probably knows he's too young to go chasing the money just yet. What is the feeling in Ipswich about whether you're going to hang on to him or not?
He's going to go. We can try and fairy tale it and say, obviously, we know he's had a good time here. We know he's enjoyed his football and he likes the way we play. He likes McKenna as a manager, but he won't be playing Championship football next year. And from our side of things, obviously, it's a lot of money in the Championship. I think he's got a relegation clause of 30 million is what's getting reported around in the media. So, I'm saying the Championship, it's a great deal of money to have. And it's a good little bit of profit from us from the 10, 15 million we bought him for as well, that can then be redistributed around everywhere. And obviously, hopefully, we can stock up. We will need a striker, definitely. That I think George Hurst will do well in the Championship. He's been a very good backup in the Premier League. He was good before his injury last time in the Championship as well. But we need somebody else. We can't, because he is injury prone. We can't go in with him nailed on starter and not have a real top quality backup option, because his luck with injuries is terrible. And so I think Delap's nailed on to go. But so, like I say, if you get 30 million quid, you can take a third of that and get a top end Championship striker for that. So I think
You could have
he
a
will
word
go,
with.
but I think we can redistribute it well.
You could have a word with Callum Wilson on Saturday.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
he might be. I mean, he's fit again. He's fit again, and he'd be available on a free. Just a
yeah. Of
thought,
course he will.
just
Yeah.
because you mentioned that. Of course, your situation mirrors a little bit our situation, which we've lived with all the way through this season, about which team is going to sign Alexander Isak from us.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're on the other side in that we're sure that he's so happy at Newcastle and that we put such a high price tag on him. He's still got years of his contract left to run, that he won't be moving on. But of course, if there is actually 150 million lying on the table, who's to say that they wouldn't think, well, if we take this, we're sorted for the next 5 years transfer wise, because they probably would be. That's why it's key for us, I think, that we get into the top five and we qualify for the Champions League, because he's got no reason to move anywhere else if we can do that. That's why this is a super important game for us too, on Saturday, Rob. We were going along very nicely and moved into third, 1-6 on the bounce, and thought, oh, right, we've just got to get a draw at Villa, and then we've got another run of games where we'll be cementing our place in the Champions League places. But sitting through the torture of being outplayed by Villa they took the lead after 30 seconds on Saturday. Was it Saturday tea time? And to be fair, they beat us 4-1. They could have been 4-1 up at half time. And then that was before they brought the substitutes on, which really destroyed us. So our confidence, I think, has taken a little bit of a knock. We've got quite a good record of bouncing back from these setbacks, though. And I don't underestimate the challenge that Ipswich present, but I think the Newcastle crowd generally are thinking this is a gimme for us. I was looking at your results, and it's at home where you've really, really been truly awful, because the away results haven't been that bad. It's narrow defeats. It's a great draw at Chelsea, a draw at Villa. That's where the wins have come as well, haven't they, away from home? Do you one at Bournemouth, which you could really teach us a thing or two about picking up points at Bournemouth or Villa, please, or Chelsea. So that's why I think it's a very, very dangerous game for us on Saturday. Particularly if you've already resigned to the fact that you're going down and you relax a little bit. I'm a bit concerned. Are you? But then you were truly awful against Arsenal, though. In the thinking that is that's you just relaxing and enjoying the challenge. How are you feeling about Saturday?
It's just a free hit, basically. Every game is at this point. That we keep saying it on our pod now in the week, is that at this point we're just trying to make another couple of memories before we go, because if we can get another couple of wins on the board, just say make the numbers look a little bit nicer than they are. We've had 6 wins in all competitions to celebrate this season, saying 2 of those against lower league teams in the FA Cup. That we haven't had much to take from the season, really, after obviously getting pretty used to winning games the last couple of years when we've flown through League One and the Championship. That it's been a bit of a shock to the system this year to suddenly, like you say, the home form especially, to Portland Road was such a horrible place for people to come and visit in League One and the Championship, and we really thought that would be our only chance, that we'd have to do well at home and then take what we can get on the road, and maybe we'll just about scrape over the line. To win one game there has been the big shock of the year, and
Yeah,
it's
for everyone,
we
I would have
just
thought.
hopefully we can cancel that out. Yeah, it's just strange that the winners against Chelsea as well. That's the thing that I think that so many games like Leicester,
Well,
for example, we should have beat and we conceded in the 94th minute. Bournemouth we were 1-0 up with to 5 minutes to go, lost 2-1. There's been other games that we've been well in the game and somehow then randomly, Chelsea, who were doing fairly good at the time, turned up and got turned over. Doesn't make sense to me, but hopefully we can end on more than one
no,
by the end of the
that's,
year.
as all of the best pundits say, that's football, Rob.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't explain it, can you? That's why we love it. I'm going to pause there, Rob, and just let Kenny Davis give us his dulcet tones about Bioniq for 30 seconds or so.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN 2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Now, you see, when Michael uses that Bioniq advert, he's tried all sorts of things. It always just repeats. I never have that trouble. I didn't have to cut Ken off there. He just stopped after doing it the first time. Right. Whenever I listen to that as well, I ask whoever I'm talking to, what would your 3 ingredients be for your Bioniq personalised supplement? Mine's pizza, Stella Artois, and ice cream. I
Of
need some
course, yeah.
tablets with that in it.
It's a great combination. I'll still the pizza one, definitely. Love a pizza.
Good stuff. Well, just have triple pizza. Be
Yeah,
easy
oh, I
for them. They
can't,
just
wouldn't complain at that. Yeah,
hotline to Domino's. This is your
yeah.
personalised supplement, Rob. It's pepperoni with extra cheese. Sorry, got distracted a bit there. So Newcastle, if I may say, were very easy to predict over the course of the last 6 games since the Carabao Cup final, and possibly because Eddie Howe has been missing for the last couple of games. They've just played the same 11. They've started with the same 11 6 games running, which is pretty unheard of in the modern game because we're all about rotation and squads. But we've just picked the same 11 to start, which kind of came back and bit us last week with a heavy defeat. I don't think people have tried to say we were tired on that. I don't think we were tired. I think we were really fit actually to keep it at 1-1 for the hour. I thought everyone was working really, really hard, earning the luck that they got in the first half with some sterling last ditch defending. But the substitutes came on and still overwhelmed us. I think they scored 3 goals in 6 minutes to go from 1-1 to 4-1. Um, so I can't just say to you, oh yeah, we'll pick the same team. I think the team will largely be unchanged. I've certainly not heard of anybody being injured at all. Um, I think they'll want to try and give Anthony Gordon a run out, but I don't think they'll want to drop Harvey Barnes for that. So maybe we could see Anthony Gordon on the left and Barnes down the right, with Murphy sitting on the bench. It'd be a brave manager who would leave either Bruno or Joe Linton or Tonali out of the midfield, which up until Saturday we were sure was the strongest midfield in the Premier League. One or two players itching to get on. Lewis Miley should get some minutes, I hope, in preparation for next year, if nothing else. Joe Willock is always much better when he plays from the start. But I don't think we'll have very many changes at all. Obviously, Isak will start up front, even if he's on one leg. How about Ipswich? How are Ipswich going to line up? You've lost Leif Davis, is it? Who's got a Newcastle connection? Is he from Newcastle? I can't remember what the
Yeah, he
connection
is.
is.
Because that was, I remember, it seems so silly when you think back now, but I remember right at the start of the season that I thought it was like nailed on that he was going to sign for you at the end of the year because you were still playing Dan Burn at left back at the time, and there wasn't much known about Lewis Hall at that point, and obviously he'd had a fantastic year in the Championship.
No.
I thought he was going to fly into the Premier League, and we were going to lose him for a big fee. He'd go back to his hometown club, and then turns out Lewis Hall's one of the best left backs in the Premier League, and Davis has not taken
Well,
to the league as well as we all hoped he would. Seems quite laughable now,
Lewis
the
Hall,
idea that
of
we might have got
course.
30 million quid for him.
Well, he's got Premier League experience now, and he has
Yeah.
been identified and talked about. So he's performed quite well, but he got sent off against Arsenal, so he's missing, isn't he?
Yeah, that's the problem position for us, because Connor Townsend, who's the backup, and arguably, we spoke about this recently, in my opinion, been the better option in the last few weeks. He's injured. So,
Oh,
I'd say
dear.
the solution against Arsenal was to push Jacob Greaves to left back and play an extra centre half. So, I think that's what we're going to do again, because I think Ipswich is a hard one, because McKenna and the club generally they give nothing away about injuries. You're like, I've tried to pick up on the odd cue of what it actually means, but they say nothing. They're like, you won't find out somebody's injured till they're suddenly not in the matchday squad on the Saturday. It won't get brought up in the press conference or anything. It'll just suddenly be, hang on, where's he gone? And then the interview before the game will go, yeah, oh yeah, he done his groin in training. It's a nightmare,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's
It
a
works the other
question
way with
mark
our
if it's
guys.
on Townsend. Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, well, Tyndall has taken a leaf out of Eddie Howe's book, and he's been struggling. He hasn't trained. He hasn't trained with the group yet. We'll have to see how he does today, and then maybe give him a late fitness test. And of course, he's fit and he's in the team, so it works the
Yeah.
other way. In that they hide who's coming back. Um, Sven Botman is apparently likely to take a part on Saturday. I think that might be sitting on the bench and coming on just for 10 minutes. But it will be good for Newcastle if he can get some game time, because we need him match fit when we've got the last three games. We've got Chelsea at home, Arsenal away, Everton at home. And that is a tough run to try and get your maximum points if we are needing that. And a lot of that depends on you and Brighton, of course. Brighton
Yeah.
being a big bogey team for us. So even if they're in awful form, when we go down there, they generally beat us. So it's nerve wracking. It's nerve wracking. So left back's a problem position. What about up front? Because I noticed that Delap, despite all of those great figures he's got for the season, hasn't started either of the last two games. What's the issue there?
Well, the party line is rib injury, but tinfoil hat GSBN Daily Ipswich theory is that there's some sort of bonus in his contract that we don't want to pay out, and we know he's going to leave.
Oh, right.
That's what we think. That's what we, because he's been playing like 80, 85 minutes every week all season, and then suddenly, as soon as like relegation's nailed on, he started dropping to the bench and only playing 10 minutes here and there. So we're theorising it's either he knows he's moving and he doesn't want to get injured and we've got nothing to play for, or we think he's getting close to an appearance or goal bonus or something, so we're just being a bit cheeky and going, he can go on the bench for 5 games, make sure we don't pay it out. And then also it's a chance to give George Hurst some minutes, because he will most likely be number 1 next year.
But I mean, if it's a goal bonus that you're trying to avoid paying out, you're just guaranteeing that he's going to leave, aren't you? But I
Yeah.
guess if you're as sure that he's definitely going, I mean, you've got a hell of a lot of teams circling, and that's because it was made public that he's got this 30 million release clause. But do tell him not to go to Manchester United, because otherwise the rest of his current teammates will be passing him next year as they come back up and Man U finally descend to the Championship, which has got to be where they're going. They're not going to have any money to spend this summer. And who
Well,
can
yeah,
they
you think
sell
so.
to raise money and not create a massive, massive loss? Anyway, that's something that we can all have a little snigger about over the summer. That poor Amorim, I feel sorry for him. I mean, I felt really pleased when they came back and beat Lyon, just because the fella deserves a break, because it's crap every week for him at that
Yeah.
place.
To be fair,
Anyway,
though, did see a very good point about him the other day, is that everyone feels sorry for him and so he hasn't got the players to fit his system. But the Wolves manager came in with later in the season, plays the same system, has worse players, and has got more points. He's just knuckled
They
down and
are on a
made the
hell of a
most of what
run.
he's got. Yeah, so it
They're on
can't
a
be
hell
like
of a run.
Wolves. You can't say Wolves' squad is better than Man United squad is rubbish, but it's better than Wolves' squad, and he's managed to nail
That's
down and
true.
just adapt people into the way he wants them to play and get points. So you have to question why, as much as we all feel sorry for him, how Amarim's not done that really in more time
Yeah,
as
well,
well.
he's stubborn. He's stubborn, and he wants to play his system, doesn't he? And he hasn't got
Yeah.
the players to do that. You're right. He's just have to play a different system. Needs must. That's what everybody else would do, but it's not what he's doing. So he just brings it on himself. Then, all right, I'll go with that. I'm going to pause there. End of part 2. This is the Zencastr advert as written by me. Do you have a story to tell that the world needs to hear? Have you struggled with reaching new audiences who are engaged with your story? It might be time for you to start a podcast. Let me tell you about a platform we use here at Global Sports Podcast Network. Zencastr makes it easy to start a high-quality podcast built for growth from day one. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes ums, ahs, you knows, and why Is, Zencastr makes it super easy to start a podcast that sounds great. Ready to tell your story? Check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr. That's the OG original one. It's so much better than the one that they rewrote, which misses all sorts of information out. And I stick to that. The rest of my team don't. Never mind. Part 3. Part 3, I ought to ask if there are any players that we've not really seen yet who we've got to keep our eye on in the Ipswich side. Or if it's so bleak, there's not really. But anybody breaking through, anybody being blooded in the Premier League in preparation for a 46 game season next year in the Championship.
Well, someone I mentioned already. Actually, the standout performer in the last couple of weeks has been George Hurst coming in Delap's absence.
Right.
He was fantastic in League One, was fantastic in the Championship until he got a horrible injury on Boxing Day and missed basically the rest of the season. He just plays like his role's slightly different to Delap. It's fairly similar, but like it's more about getting other players involved rather than doing it all himself. But he was brilliant against Chelsea. He was brilliant actually against Brentford earlier in the year. We lost the game. We lost 4-3 at their place. He started that game, scored, and was brilliant. And Arsenal, bearing in mind we lost 4-0 to Arsenal, didn't have a shot on target, barely laid a glove. He gave the centre halves a really good run around. He was springing the offside trap to get in behind. He was holding them off and bringing the ball up. He had a very good game, as much as he could as a target man striker who just has to stand and watch the game happen in his own half and take his chances as he can. That he's really stepped up in this Delap, whether he's actually nursing an injury or whether there is something else going on behind the scenes. He's taken his chance, and it's got us all very excited for seeing him back in the Championship next year. Because like I say, those first few months last year, he was fantastic until he got a horrible injury against Leicester.
Someone who had been impressed, actually coming on as a sub earlier in the season, but he's injured, I think, is Philogene. Philogene's got hurt, hasn't he?
Yeah. He won't play again this year by the looks of it.
That's a shame, that. It's a shame. It's the last thing you need, really, isn't it, to have some first teamers dropping
Our
out as
right-hand
well
side is cursed.
when you're up against the world. I will say maybe you won't expect it because you've mentioned Lewis Hall and the fantastic season he'd had up until his ankle injury in the game or in fact in training before the Carabao Cup final. Tino Livramento, who's been very good, won his England cap playing right back, has shifted across to left back and is even better down that side. Somehow, him and Harvey Barnes have completely negated the problem that Anthony Gordon had got sent off and got a 3-game ban, and Lewis Hall had done his ankle in. They've been really good. So that might not be something that you would have been totally aware of. You would have seen it happen and work in the Carabao Cup final. And when did we get that very early goal? Was it against Manchester United that we scored in the second minute? I can't remember. They've done it 2 or 3 times already. And it's good because often it's Anthony Gordon down the left, and there's not a lot of backup coming for him. A bit better now that Lewis Hall has got a little bit more confidence, but we thought that was going to be a real problem for the end of the season, and it's not. It's a strength. I guess we need to think about predictions then for this game.
Yeah, this is a dangerous bit.
What do you think, Rob? Do you think you're going to be rolling over and doing another Arsenal? Or, in fact, will you get blitzed in the first 20 minutes like you did at home?
Yeah, that's what I fear, because there's a lot of factors coming into this. Obviously, the home game is fresh in my mind. Like you mentioned, how irritating and it was for the game for you guys on Saturday to go 1-0 down in 30 seconds. We know that pain because you done it to us at Portman Road. About 30 seconds on the clock when Isaac opened the scoring. But yeah, that game,
at least we
the way
didn't have
that game went.
A VAR review. At least we didn't have a
Yeah,
VAR review to sit through first.
yeah, I suppose so, yeah. But yeah, that's what worries me because that game was the first time we'd really been like, we looked out of our depth, really. Like we were competing in pretty much every game, and that started a really horrible
Mm.
run for us that went on for a fair amount of weeks where we kept talking about every week we were talking about a podcast and we were like that Newcastle game was a turning point. We were doing so well until then and like you said earlier as well that you obviously you have a loss, quite a bad loss to try and bounce back from, and you normally do at the first attempt. I feel there's a lot of factors sort of piling up that say from past meetings and so mindset coming into it of us having not really having anything to play for, that I feel like it's all sort of boiling up into an absolute drumming. It's the fear in the back of my head, but I
Are you
hope I'm
predicting
wrong.
that
But
though?
no, I can't come on. I can't come on here representing the podcast and say we're going to predict us to get smashed. But that's where the head's at, in the fear and that sort of dark fear in the back of their mind. But at the same time, like I say, that as much as it's completely out of our hands, because West Ham just need 1 point in 5 games, but we are effectively still playing for our survival. We know that we have to go and beat you to have even the slightest hope of surviving. So I'm hoping that'll get us up for it. And we tend to be quite good in these big underdog games where no one expects. Like I say, it's almost like so piled on for Newcastle to nail it on and batter us that it's that's the sort of thing we kind of like in these games where we might just go
You're being
somehow go and nab
counterintuitive.
something out. Yeah, out the blue. I said it again
Well,
way back when against Spurs. I said that was the most nailed on like in the week Spurs win you'd ever seen. They were flying. We hadn't won a game yet. I said the only reason I think we're going to beat Spurs is because everything says we're going to lose convincingly. So we'll like football's
yeah.
just like that. We'll go and win, and that's sort of the feeling I get with this game. But you're much better than Spurs, but
Well,
that's the problem.
it's. I'm alarmed. I am alarmed having looked through that. 2 up against Chelsea, which you hung on to get your draw. Um, Draw at Villa, win at Spurs. I think your away form's pretty good. Now, what Newcastle don't do very much of is draw.
Yeah,
They they tend to. I mean, that's why we're still up there because we've won more games than everyone bar Liverpool, and I think the same number of games as Arsenal. We haven't drawn very many. We lost quite a few as well. Um, so I've sat through 3 or 4 horrible home games where we've lost. Thinking of West Ham, Brighton, Fulham, Bournemouth, all games where we've started reasonably brightly. Not the Bournemouth game; we were just outplayed by them. They were wonderful that afternoon. But the other ones we started quite well and sort of lost faith, if you like, because we haven't roared into a lead. When we score early, we can blitz teams, blitz Manchester United, blitz Crystal Palace. And we're hoping that we can do the same on Saturday, of course. But what am I going to predict? I don't. I think we'll win. I don't think it will be drubbing. I think I'm going to predict, as I do for all of these games. I still can't see any reason to change. Newcastle winning 3-1. I think. I think your George Hurst will score because he does look like a ready, willing runner. And the back four, Fab Shah in particular, were looking a little bit bewildered by the end of that Aston Villa game. 2 own goals we managed to score for them in that match. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm predicting us to win 3-1. I don't think it's going to be the stroll in the park that Man United or Crystal Palace gave us. You're not going to put a number of goals on your prediction then.
No, I think it's for me. I think it's like you said there. It's about the early stages of the game, because I think we're obviously going to turn up and try and like you should in any sort of away game like this, just keep it solid, stay in the game as long as possible, try and nick one. Whereas I think if we concede early, it could be a cricket score. But like you said, that if we can get to maybe half time, I think there'll be that frustration element kicking in the second half. That's our chance to go and get something. So I'm hoping I'm going to bank on that we get through to half time, and then I think we'll nick a goal as well. I reckon. I mean, the way we go, we love scoring first and then not win the game. So I'll see if we can get to half time, nick a goal, and then we'll probably concede and draw 1-1 or something. It'll be just as it looks like we're very good at prizing defeat from the jaws of victory. I hope so. Case in point, Bournemouth at home, where we were 5 minutes away and ended up losing 2-1. That's where the heart's going. So that's where the heart's going on the as the representative of the Ipswich podcast. But say the head thinks if we concede first 20 minutes, then I might just turn it off and not bother watching the rest.
Well, I can remember talking to the chaps when West Ham came to Newcastle, and I was very bullish. I predicted we'd win 4-0, and they predicted we'd win 4-0, and they won 2-0. But we battered them, and then gave a stupid goal away at a corner, and then they did exactly the same thing. And by the hour mark, with them 2 up, we just kind of ran out of ideas, ran out of willpower. Ridiculous. Brighton did a similar thing. We were all over Brighton at home. We battered them, couldn't score. And then, of course, our nemesis, Danny Welbeck, popped up with a goal. And then they defended very well in the second half. Don't be taking too much heart from that, because I'm trusting that we get back to our lovely sequence where we scored 1 goal, 2 goal, 3 goal, 4 goal, 5 goal against Palace. Forget the Villa aberration. We're due 6. I don't see that. I see a win, but a hard fought win, 3-1. Excellent. Well, commiserations for the season. I do know there's a lot of games that you've been in right through to the end and then picked up no points from, in a way that Leicester or Southampton haven't. So hopefully that bodes well for bouncing straight back next year. Fair play to you guys for continuing the podcast, of course, because I don't think Leicester were even going when we played them the first time back in January. I can't remember. I might be being a bit harsh there. The Southampton guys are great fun. They keep going.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the only thing that's kept the lights shining. Thanks very much, Rob.
Thanks, mate.
I hope it's a good game on Saturday. You can win the last 4 and unfortunately still go down, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Cheers, mate. Thanks very much.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.